Arrival at Earth. The observation mission. The alien transport ship entered Earth's orbit silently. The blue and green planet looked peaceful from above. The soldiers on board had been trained for months about human history, culture, and behavior. But nothing had prepared them for what they were about to see. These were elite alien soldiers from the Galactic Union, chosen from different sectors across their solar system. They were strong, focused, and intelligent. Their species believed in peace and logic and had not seen real war for hundreds of years. Now they were visiting Earth not to fight, but to learn. They were sent to understand how humans had survived so many wars and why they were still standing as the ship landed in a secured base on Earth. The alien soldiers stepped out with pride in their hearts. Their armor was silver with glowing lines, and their posture was perfect. Their leader, a tall soldier named Lauren, led the group forward with steady steps. He believed this mission would be easy. He expected a few lectures, maybe some videos, and then a full report sent back to the Union commander. Halle, the human officer assigned to their program, waited at the entrance of the underground training center. He looked calm. His uniform was simple and neat, unlike the shiny suits the aliens wore. His eyes were sharp but kind. He welcomed them with a simple handshake and a small smile. Welcome to Earth. We appreciate your visit and your curiosity about us, he said. Lauren nodded. We come with honor. We wish to study your combat history and observe your methods. We were told your species is experienced in conflict. Hale led them through the long hallway beneath the ground. Lights glowed on the sides, and the walls were filled with screens. Silent for now, they reached a massive dark chamber with seats and a large central display screen. Halle turned to them and spoke with a serious tone. What you will see here is not a game. This is real footage from human history. These are not actors. These are real people who lived and died in times of war. We show this to help others understand, not to entertain. Prepare yourselves. The alien soldiers sat down. Some were excited. Some were curious. One or two even looked slightly bored. The screen lit up with the first clip. It was black and white. The battle of some World War I. Humans in mud trenches, explosions everywhere. Fear and courage mixed together. Soldiers charging across open fields with no cover. Many never returned. The room grew quiet. Another clip played. The Second World War. Cities burning, children crying, tanks rolling through broken streets. Soldiers holding photos of families in their pockets. Letters being written before battle, hoping they would be read. The aliens started shifting in their seats. Then came the Vietnam War. Helicopters in the sky. Jungles on fire. Soldiers helping each other, even when wounded. One man refused to leave his injured friend behind. He carried him through bullets and smoke, his hands shaking, but his eyes full of purpose. One alien whispered, he could have escaped. Why did he stay? Another answered, they protect each other no matter the cost. Next came footage from modern urban warfare. Battles inside cities, drones overhead, civilians running. Soldiers using shields not only for defense but to guard others. Strategy mixed with raw emotion. Explosions, chaos, shouting, and silence, all wrapped in one. A young alien named Rin held his chest as if he could feel the fear on the screen. His eyes were wide. Commander Halle paused the video. Would you like to continue? He asked. Lauren looked around. He saw discomfort. He saw fear. But most of all, he saw confusion. Yes, he said, let it play. The screen showed moments of loss. Mothers crying over fallen sons. Soldiers crying over lost friends. Medics trying to save lives while under fire. And then came something unexpected. Soldiers offering water to wounded enemies. A human helping a wounded enemy soldier stand up while others watched in silence. The room was colder now, even though the temperature had not changed. One alien stood up and left the room silently. Lauren sat still, but his fingers were tightly clenched. He had trained in the best combat schools on his planet, but nothing he had seen before felt like this. This was not about weapons or victory. This was about pain, sacrifice, and something he could not yet describe. The final clip for the day showed a human soldier walking through a destroyed village. A child was trapped under debris. The soldier dropped his weapon and used his bare hands to lift the wreckage. even though the area was not clear. He saved the child and smiled, but the child cried not from fear, but from hope. The screen went black. Commander Hale looked at them again. "This is just the beginning," he said. "We have more to show, but only if you are ready." Lauren stood slowly. His voice was softer this time. "Your people have survived more than we imagined. Your history is painful but powerful. We thought we were advanced, but now I wonder if we ever understood what war truly means." Rin spoke from behind him. "I do not wish to see more, but I need to understand why they never gave up." Hale nodded quietly. "Then you are beginning to understand what it means to be human outside." The chamber, the Earth continued its rotation as stars blinked in the sky above. The alien soldiers had come to study a primitive species, but now they were facing something much greater than technology or training. They were staring into the heart of survival, into the fire that kept humanity moving forward, even when everything else was burning, and none of them would ever be the same again. Unthinkable reality of human combat. The lights in the underground chamber remained dim. The alien soldiers sat quietly in their seats, each one lost in thought after what they had seen earlier. No one spoke, no one moved. The silence was heavy like a thick cloud above their heads. Lauren looked at his team. He could see the change in their eyes. The pride they carried when they first arrived was no longer there. It had been replaced by something else, something they had never felt before. Commander Hale stepped forward again. His steps echoed in the chamber. His voice was calm, yet carried weight. "What you saw was only one part of our story. There's more if you choose to continue." Lauren gave a slow nod. "We are ready." The screen came to life once more. This time the footage began with a quiet village in the middle of a desert. Children playing, women cooking, soldiers walking carefully, trying not to disturb the peace. A sudden explosion ripped through the silence. The screen shook, dust rose, screams followed. Rin flinched. His hands gripped the edge of his seat tightly. The footage showed soldiers pulling survivors from rubble. A man carried 3 injured people across a burning street, his uniform torn, his face bleeding. But he moved with purpose. Another clip showed a sniper refusing to shoot because a child was standing too close to them. Target. He waited. He risked his own life waiting for the child to move. A moment of hesitation that could cost everything. Aliens watched with wide eyes. They had trained for battles where logic ruled. No emotions, no delays. But here humans were making decisions with their hearts. Next came a recording from a mountain war. A small group of soldiers trapped by snow and enemy fire. They had no food, no shelter. Yet one soldier gave his only ration to a wounded comrade. Another covered a freezing teammate with his own coat. One alien whispered softly, "They help each other even when there is nothing left." Another responded, "They choose to suffer together instead of surviving alone." The footage shifted again. This time it was from a naval battle. A ship on fire, sinking into the ocean. Soldiers refusing to leave until every last person was safe. One officer tied himself to the deck to guide others out. He never escaped, but saved many. Tears welled up in the eyes of one alien soldier. He quickly turned his face away, but others noticed. Lauren leaned forward, his voice low but steady. "We believed our kind had mastered discipline and control. But this is something else, something deeper." The screen now showed moments after wars, cities broken, people crying, but hands were building again. Bricks placed one by one, water being handed out, food shared, even between former enemies. "They rebuild with their own hands," said Rin. "And they forgive sometimes, even those who caused the pain." Lauren stood up. "Pause the footage, please." Commander Hale paused it without a word. Lauren turned to his team. "We were trained to be perfect warriors, to calculate every move, to avoid emotions and decisions. But here we see something different. These humans feel pain yet continue. They face fear but stand tall. They bleed and still protect others." One soldier spoke up. "They are too chaotic. They make mistakes. They allow weakness." Lauren looked at him with steady eyes. "Yet they survive. They grow after every fall. Can we say the same for ourselves?" Another alien stood and spoke. "I do not know if I can watch more. This is too much, too raw. Commander Hale stepped forward again. It is your choice. No one is forced, but understanding comes with discomfort. Growth needs courage. Rin slowly raised his hand. Will stay. I want to learn more. Lauren nodded. We stay. The screen resumed. This time it showed acts of resistance, not just from soldiers, but from regular people. A young girl using her voice to stop violence. A doctor saving enemies and friends alike. A man refusing to fire on civilians even under pressure from his commander. The aliens were quiet again, but something had shifted. The fear was still there, but now mixed with respect and wonder. After the footage ended, the lights returned to normal. The soldiers sat still. Some looked down. Some stared at the blank screen. Commander Hale broke the silence. You have now seen what we have been through. This is not everything, but it is enough to know who we are. Lauren spoke with a voice not as firm as before, but deeper. You call it history. We call it impossible. You fight not because you love war, but because you value life. Hale gave a slow nod. We do not celebrate war. We remember it, we learn from it, and we do our best not to repeat it. But if we must fight, we will fight with all. We have not just weapons, but with heart. The alien soldiers stood one by one, their armor no longer shining with pride, but with the weight of understanding. They left the chamber without speaking to each other, each one walking slowly as if carrying something heavy, not in their hands, but in their minds. Lauren looked at the earth sky as he stepped outside. The wind touched his face gently, a breeze that carried no sound, but felt alive. He whispered to himself, "They are not monsters, they are survivors." And deep inside him, something began to change. The turning point. The alien soldiers walked through the human base with slow steps. Their minds were full. Their hearts were heavy. The images they had seen would not leave them. They had studied thousands of planets, but no species had shown them what humans had shown. Lauren entered the quiet briefing room alone. The walls were plain, the lights soft. A screen rested at the front, but it was off now. Silence filled the space. Commander Hale stepped in after him. He closed the door and waited. Lauren looked at him. His voice was calm but not empty. Your people have survived the worst. That you continue to live, not just live but build hope. You suffer and smile in the same breath. Hale walked to the table and placed a device on it. He tapped it once, and a new video started to play. There were no explosions, no weapons, no blood. Instead, it showed people hugging after war ended. Former enemies shaking hands, a soldier giving candy to children. A city burned to the ground now, full of lights and laughter. These are the things we show last, said Hale. These are the things we are most proud of. Lauren watched children running through a field that was once a battlefield. An old man planting trees where bombs once fell. Soldiers helping build schools, soldiers teaching peace. He spoke again, but this time his voice was softer. This is not what we expected. We thought you would show weapons, tactics, glory, but this is different. This is strength, Commander. Hale nodded slowly. We have lost many lives to war. That is the truth, but what defines us is not how we fight. It is how we rise after every fall. Lauren stepped back as the video ended. His eyes stayed on the blank screen, as if still watching another alien soldier entered the room. It was Rin. His expression showed confusion and emotion. Both. Commander, I would like to request permission to remain on Earth longer. I want to learn more. Hale raised an eyebrow but said nothing. Lauren looked at Rin. You wish to stay even after everything we saw? Rin nodded. Yes, because I believe we do not understand them yet, and I want to. Outside the room, the others gathered. Some whispered to each other. Some stayed quiet. A few were preparing to send messages back to their command. Later that day, Lauren gathered the squad in the open training yard. The sky above was cloudy. The ground beneath was still wet from morning rain. He stood before them with no rank, no armor, no command. Just a voice. We came here thinking we were the observers, but we have become the students. We came to study war, but we found something else. We found a kind of courage we do not know, a kind of pain we never faced, a kind of heart we cannot ignore. One soldier stepped forward. His voice was sharp. "We were sent to evaluate their threat, not to admire their pain. We should report in return." "Is not our war," Lauren nodded slowly. "You are right. This is not our war, but it is their truth, and now it has become part of our knowledge. If we leave now, we go blind. If we stay, we may begin to see." That night a communication was sent to the Galactic Union. It was brief and official. "Human history contains extreme violence, emotional complexity, tactical unpredictability. Recommendation withdrawal from observation program." Another message was sent by Lauren directly to the Union leadership. It was not official and not cold. "Request to continue observation. Human behavior is layered. Human resilience is unmatched. Strength comes from unity, not perfection. Suggest deeper study. Suggest second thought." The reply came faster than expected. A high-ranking inspector from the Union would arrive in 2 days. The mission would be reviewed. If needed, it would be ended. When the inspector arrived, the base grew tense. He wore black robes with golden threads. His voice was cold and clear, his words sharp as metal. "You were sent to evaluate a species, not to be moved by them. You were sent to study their strength, not their suffering." Lauren stood before him without fear. "We have done both. We have seen their strength and their scars, and what we saw cannot be forgotten." The inspector turned to the squad. "You will return with me in 3 days. No exceptions. No further contact with the species. Rin, step forward. What if we choose to stay?" The inspector looked at him with silence that felt louder than any word. "Then you no longer serve the Union." Lauren's voice was firm now. "Then maybe it is time the Union learned something new." That evening a storm came. Rain fell hard across the base. Yet inside the alien quarters things were even heavier. Some packed their gear quietly. Others sat with heads low. A few argued softly. One said they had gone too far. Another said they had not gone far enough. Lauren sat alone in the main hall watching old human news reports. A city rebuilding. A young soldier dancing with his sister after returning from war. A mother lighting candles for those lost. A school built where a bunker once stood. Rin came and sat beside him. "Do you regret coming here?" Lauren shook his head. "I regret not understanding them sooner." Outside the storm slowed. The clouds began to break. The moon peeked through the earth, turned once more under the stars, unaware of the choice about to be made by those who had come from far away. The alien soldiers had seen the wars and now stood on the edge of a decision that would change everything. Confrontation with their own command. The day of the final inspection arrived. The alien soldiers stood in a straight line under the gray sky, their armor polished, their faces calm from the outside, but filled with tension from within. The base was quiet except for the soft wind brushing across the empty training yard. The inspector from the Galactic Union stepped forward. His long coat moved like waves as he walked, his eyes cold, his voice sharper than any blade. "You came here to measure a threat. You were not sent to admire a primitive race. You have forgotten your orders. You have allowed emotion to cloud judgment." Lauren stepped forward, not with anger, but with steady strength. "We followed orders at first. We observed, we studied, we listened. But what we found was more than numbers or tactics. We found something your data never prepared us for." The inspector raised a hand and interrupted. "Enough. This mission is over. You will return to the Union ship at once. This species is unstable. Their violence is unmatched. They are not fit for alliance." Rin could not remain silent. "They are not unstable. They are evolving. They feel everything deeply and still stand tall. They are more fit than we ever imagined." The inspector turned to him with eyes like ice. "You have become too attached. You are dismissed from this mission. Your words mean nothing now." Lauren stepped between them. "If his words mean nothing, then mine must too, because I believe the same." Murmurs spread through the squad. Some soldiers looked at each other, unsure. Some stood frozen. One placed a hand on his chest as if calming his own heartbeat. The inspector turned away without speaking and walked toward the command building to send his final report. Inside the building, he activated a secure link. A glowing panel appeared before him. His fingers moved fast. A direct message was sent to the High Council of the Galactic. Union subject Earth species, human status dangerous, recommendation cut. Contact immediately, mission terminated outside. Loran gathered his squad. This is the moment we must decide. You can follow the inspector back to the ship. No one will judge you, or you can stay and face whatever comes next. This choice will define us. One soldier raised his voice with fear and honesty. If we stay, we lose everything. Rank, position, future. Rin replied with quiet fire in his voice. Then, let us lose it and find something better. A moment of silence passed. The clouds above began to shift. Beam of sunlight broke through like a quiet signal. One by one, soldiers stepped forward. First Rin, then Mira, then two more, each placing their hands over their chest as a sign of personal choice. Loran looked into each of their eyes. You understand this cannot be undone, they nodded. We do, and we choose to stay. The inspector returned and saw the line broken, the formation gone. His face turned darker than storm clouds. You disobey direct command. You reject the Union. Loran answered without a shake in his voice. We do not reject the Union. We challenge it to understand deeper truth. Humanity is not perfect, but they are alive in ways we forgot. The inspector moved to activate a signal to detain them, but Commander Holly appeared from behind and stood beside. Loran, these soldiers are under my care now. You have no authority here unless you plan to bring war to Earth. The inspector stared at Holly and then at the silent faces behind him. No one moved, no one blinked. The air grew thick. Then, without a word, the inspector turned away and walked to his ship. His boots struck the ground like hammers. Each step a final warning. The alien ship lifted into the sky, rising higher until it became a dot, then vanished into the clouds above. Who stayed behind stood quietly watching the sky as if it would open again. Loran breathed out slowly. We are no longer observers. We are now part of this world, Commander. Holly nodded with respect. You did not choose the easy path, but sometimes the right path begins where the easy one ends. The sun now covered the yard fully. The shadows faded. The air felt different, lighter somehow. Later that day, Holly brought the group to a large screen, not for war footage, but for history clips not shown before celebrations after peace. Treaties signed between enemies, stories of soldiers returning home and becoming teachers, doctors, builders. The aliens watched not with fear, but with hope. This time the emotions were not sharp and painful, but warm and slow, like sunlight on cold metal. Myra spoke with quiet wonder. Came thinking humans were dangerous, but maybe they are just brave. Loran replied. They are both. They are dangerous because they are brave. They fight not because they enjoy pain, but because they refuse to lose what they love. Ren stood beside them and added, they are not perfect, and that is why they keep trying. Day ended with silence again, but this time it was not heavy. It was full of meaning. The stars above twinkled as always, but now they seemed to shine a little brighter for those who had chosen to see Earth not as a threat, but as a lesson. And in that moment, the alien soldiers no longer felt like visitors. They felt like witnesses to something eternal, something raw, something real. They had come to study human war, but now they stood in awe of human heart. Stay or leave, the final choice. The morning after the inspector's departure arrived, with soft light touching the ground. The air was still. The base felt different. Something had changed, and everyone could feel it. Loran stepped out of his quarters, wearing no armor, no command badge, only a plain uniform borrowed from the Earth base. He walked slowly across the training yard, where he had once stood with pride and control. Now he walked with purpose and calm strength. Other alien soldiers gathered near the edge of the field. Some looked uncertain, some looked ready to begin something new. Rin stood closest to Loran, his expression calm and steady. Today we make it clear, said Loran, this is not a mission anymore. This is our choice, Commander. Hale arrived a few moments later, carrying a small black case. He opened it and revealed communication tokens shaped like smooth stones, glowing faint blue. Each of you has been given clearance to decide, said Hale. These tokens will send a signal to the Union ship still in orbit. If you choose to leave, press the center and you will be picked up within 2 hours. If you choose to stay, you keep the token with you. But it will never be used again. Laura looked at each face around him and saw the weight of the moment. You are not traitors if you leave. You are not heroes if you stay. You are only honest beings making an honest choice. Silence followed, the kind of silence that comes before a storm or a revelation. One soldier stepped forward. He was older than the others, quiet and thoughtful. He looked at the token, then looked up at the sky. My people raised me to follow order above all. But now I see truth has many forms. I will stay. He placed the token back in the box. Another soldier approached her, hands shaking, but eyes focused. I feared their chaos. I feared their fire, but now I fear forgetting what I learned here. I will stay. Rin came forward without hesitation. I came here curious, and I leave that way too. But I stay because this world still has lessons, and I want to learn them with my own heart. More followed one by one. They stepped forward, some with confidence, some with trembling hands, but each step felt like a new path beginning. Loran stood last. He held the token for a long time, longer than anyone else. Then he closed his fist around it and spoke with quiet strength. I came as a commander. I remain as a student. This is where I belong now, Commander. Hale closed the case gently and nodded. Then it is done. You are welcome here. Not as guests, but as fellow beings of this world. Time passed. The aliens who stayed began new routines. They studied Earth languages. They joined training programs not for war, but for rescue and rebuilding missions. They helped repair damaged satellites, build new homes in disaster zones, and share technology with peaceful intent. Loran visited schools. He sat with human children and listened to their questions. He told stories not of weapons, but of stars and distant planets, of music sung in vacuum shelters and light shows over frozen oceans. Rin joined a medical aid unit and worked beside human doctors. He learned how they healed with hands full of hope and faces full of worry, yet never stopping. Mira began writing. She recorded everything she saw, every feeling she had, and sent her writings to young cadets still in training. Across the stars, her words became soft sparks of thought across the Union, reaching those who had never even seen Earth. The Galactic Union did not respond again. No threats, no orders, no contact. Silence was their answer. Silence and distance. But Earth spoke loudly, not with weapons, but with kindness. They welcomed the alien soldiers not because they were perfect, but because they had chosen to stay. Years past. The story of the visitors became legend in some places. In others it was taught in classes as a lesson of truth and courage. Loran walked through a park one evening. His steps quiet. Children played nearby. A boy ran up to him holding a small toy spaceship. Are you really from space? The boy asked with wide eyes. Loran smiled gently. Yes, I came from far away, but now this is my home. The boy nodded and ran back to his friends, laughing. Loran looked up at the sky. A star blinked above, a signal perhaps, or maybe just light from the past. He whispered to the wind, we came to learn about war, but we found something greater. And the wind seemed to carry his words across the trees and hills, across oceans and mountains, across memories, both human and alien. Somewhere far beyond stars, a quiet signal glowed on an old Galactic Union console. A message. Unread, a file named Earth Observation Emotional Classification. Unstable, yet inspirational it remained. There, untouched, silent, yet shining, and on Earth. The alien soldiers who had once wanted to leave now walked among humans, not as strangers, not as warriors, but as those who understood the fire of pain and the power of healing. They had not just witnessed humanity, they had become part of it. And that was the ending no one had planned, but everyone needed the end.